Hello, everybody, and welcome to the very first episode of Dude and a Monkey. This is an introductory episode just to give you a brief overview of what we're about. Uh, I will be known as Dude, and I will be joined by my host. You'll know his voice from Cinerama and from 35mm Heroes. It is a monkey,
Uh,
Mr. Ian Loring.
Hello, I am the monkey. How are we doing all?
So, this is a new podcast we're starting. We've been on various podcasts together over the years, but we've decided that we should merge our collective film brains and spew out pussies of awesomeness into your ears to basically bitch about the film world and talk about films we like and stuff like that. So, Ian, can you give them a rundown of what they can expect over the coming episodes for Dude and a Monkey?
Yes, indeed. Okay, so basically, we're going to try and be quite strict with the time. Many podcasts we've both been on in the past have gone on for hours and hours and hours and hours. We're going to try and nail this down to about 90 minutes a week. There is a little bit scope for less or more there, but around about 90 minutes a week. And we are basically going to have a review section where obviously we'll review one of the week's latest releases. And I think we're going to try and be ever so slightly less kind of mainstream than Cinerama and 35mm Heroes have been. That's not a knock on either of those shows at all. It's just we're going to try and pick out something that potentially might not get us talked about as much, I suppose. With Mark having Picture House Cinema very near him, and with me living in Cardiff, where there are a few kind of slightly less mainstream options around, we're going to try and go for that kind of area. But that would be right, wouldn't it, Mark?
Yeah, that's the idea, is to cover stuff that, like you say, it's not a criticism of the podcast, but it's just to have another angle. There's only so much even somebody like Ian can say about the latest release, so we don't want to be repeating ourselves for what other people are saying. We want to go on a bit of a different tact and keep it a little bit more kind of a little bit more to more of the stuff that not interests us, but we don't get to talk about as much, I think.
Yes, I think that's absolutely bang on. And we will then also then get into a discussion topic. So we're going to do like a little one of those later on in this episode, episode 0, if you will, just to give you a kind of a taste of what that will be like. So it'll be a discussion about a news topic or just something that takes our fancy maybe to do with the film that's being reviewed or something like that. But we'll just decide on that week on week. We will also have a section, one old, one new, where we each talk about one old release we've watched that week and one new release. So pretty. Uh, the name says it all, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't necessarily with that. It isn't necessarily just a new release we're going to talk about. It'll be a new film to ourselves. So it could be something that was released in 1932, but
Oh yeah,
I've never watched it and stuff like that. So that's the idea. Is that we can kind of talk about something as a first watch for us and something that we watch a lot. Or something that we're revisiting or anything like that. Just to give you, just to give us an idea of give us the idea of working out what we can watch, and it gives us sort of different films to throw at you every week.
yeah, exactly. And I think we're going to get like a very, very wide variety of films in there. We're not really we're only being shackled by our own willingness to
Viewing,
watch,
yeah,
I suppose. So that's that. And then I suppose probably lastly in the show, we are going to have a marathon section. So basically, that what we're going to do is just it's kind of what Film Spotting did. I haven't listened to Film Spotting for years now, so I don't know whether they still do. I assume they do. But
I'm not sure. I'm saying I haven't listened for a long, long time.
yeah,
It's a good podcast, just don't have time for it.
yeah, that's exactly that. To be honest, so yeah, so we're going to be picking out a director, and we're going to do like 5 or 6 films, I suppose, from that director. Now, we need a little bit of help from you guys on this one. Mark, do you want to let them know what I mean by that?
Yeah, well, what we want to do is we want to sort of throw out the forum to you guys to give us sort of suggestions for who you'd like to hear us talk about. To be honest, we think it's better that you have the interaction as listeners to say, look, we'd like you to talk about X director. We want to hear you do that. So it gives you a chance as well to throw somebody fucking really left field out. If you want to hear us talk about Nora Ephron films, okay, all of you send it and say Nora Ephron films. So you can contact us either on Twitter at the simple Twitter handle of Dude and a Monkey, or you can contact us at dudeandamonkey@gmail.com, and we'll be announcing who will be our first marathon director on Wednesday. So please, could everybody get some sort of suggestions in, and we'll work from there. We'll either pick the most popular or the one that gets our juices flowing.
Yeah, and so we'll say that'll be Wednesday, the 14th of November. Just kind of around the evening, I suppose, in UK time.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and it won't always be as much of a rush as that. It's just we want to get this done for the first full show next week. So there we go. Now, yeah, and I'll also say as well, the Twitter and email handles Dude and a Monkey, that's all one word. And is not the kind of ampersand. I don't even know whether you can do that on Twitter or anything, but it is AND. Just to be pedantic. Yeah, we're going to have a little bit of a discussion topic now, actually. And it was actually Mark's idea. So, Mark, would you like to tell the folks what we're going to have a bit of a chat about?
Well, we'll have a little bit of a discussion. Obviously, in the past week or so, the biggest news story in film has been the announcement that Lucasfilm has been sold to Disney. Of course, the main product of Lucasfilm is Star Wars. There are other products. It also incorporates the Indiana Jones series as well. But we sort of come from two opposites of this. Ian's not an obsessive, but he's a big Star Wars fan. I'm not a Star Wars fan, but I'm by no means a hater. I don't dislike the films. They just don't do anything for me. So, what was your kind of reaction to the news?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's an interesting one. I mean, I think you're bang on there about my level with Star Wars. It was fairly the original trilogy was fairly formative for me, but I would say that it was interesting actually. I was listening to the Mondo Movie podcast this morning, and it's good to have them back, by the way. And they actually mentioned me and saying how I've spoke as Jurassic Park being kind of my formative film. So I mean, I was like 9 when that came out, so there we go. Whereas Star Wars, the thing is, it's such a big thing for such a lot of people, but I also think that generally, as a piece of film news, it probably is the biggest piece of film news this year, just because it is Disney buying a lot of people's childhoods, not necessarily mine. Even though I suppose in a way, because they've also bought ILM out of this deal, which isn't getting talked about a lot. And I believe they did all the CG work on Jurassic Park, so in a way they have. So in terms of my actual feelings on it, I'm perfectly happy that Lucas isn't going to be involved anymore, even though it is important to remember that Lucas did actually create the original trilogy. As much as people have come to hate Lucas, he still had, he was still the driving force. But I'm not quite frothing at the mouth. Yourself, Mark?
I'm kind of I approach it with a bit of trepidation. I'm not bothered about the films. Star Wars. I mean, the big news of it is the big main thing is they double announced it was Disney have bought Lucasfilm, and there will be more Star Wars films. And I think that if it was just they've bought Lucasfilm and they've bought the rights to this and this and this, that would have been one bit of news. But the fact that they announced at the same time there's going to be new Star Wars films, not a new Star Wars film, that created it into a whole bigger actual news story. And my feelings on it kind of are, I'm nowhere looking forward to it. I'm glad other people are looking forward to it. I think it's great that people are getting excited about it. But I very much think that people need to just stand down a little bit because it's not even going to go into production until next year. It's not due out until 2014, and it's still 2012. And if I went onto Twitter now and typed in Star Wars 7, there'd be a ream of people talking about it, and it's the constant speculation of this director's been linked to it, this director's been linked, this director's been linked. There is an actual writer that's already confirmed as writing it, but there's going to be so much speculation, and it seems very much. I mean, I made a joke on not last Tuesday, Tuesday before when it was all announced on Twitter, just saying I'm looking forward to reading every film website in the globe's top 5 directors for Star Wars. And by the end of the night, 3 different sites that were perfectly decent sites had actually done it.
Yeah.
And it was just a little bit like, do you know what? It's a big bit of news and you can cover it, but everybody, I think, is getting a little bit carried away. And I remember what it was like pre-internet when they released episode 1. And everyone was really excited about it, really excited, and going on about how amazing it was and how great it was. And then they all went to see it, and nobody kind of wanted to admit that it was a massive disappointment. And for a while, it was kind of like it was accepted as being a good film. It's only over years that it became a little bit of a joke. And then now it's kind of gone full circle. It's gone back to people saying, "Oh, well, it wasn't actually all that bad," which is fine. That kind of happens. You get that happens, but my feelings are a little bit like, yeah, brilliant. If people are going to get a lot of enjoyment out of it, great. If the films are good, brilliant. Strange enough, I trust Disney more than I trust Lucas, just because I think he'd run out of ideas with it, or he'd had too many ideas with it and was trying to throw too much at it, and not enough of it was sticking. I think Disney will treat this as a separate entity from Disney, like they do with Pixar. But I'm a little bit like, you know what? We've got Hobbit and stuff to come. Let's just wait and see what happens, and not be trying to second guess what's happening.
Yeah, I mean, I think that a good point's all, frankly. Even though I will say, um, kind of all the speculation and whatnot, I would be more pissed off with that if it wasn't for the fact that actual official news is trickling out. You know, like the fact that Lucas has approached Carrie Fisher and Mark Hamill, the fact that Michael Arndt is writing it's like there is stuff happening. But then, I mean, the thing you were saying about the top 5 directors and like those articles, I mean, that's all a part of hit whoring, basically.
Well, yeah,
I mean,
it is,
you know, and
and it's
I very recently made the decision to just stop reading slash film, for instance, just because all they do. I mean, like because the amount of content they have on that site is incredible every day. Like how even though they're all full time, so no wonder. But I mean, the fact is, a lot of it is just speculative articles, and you can say, we just want to try and create a debate, blah blah blah. But it's just like, no, there comes a point where you are just putting the stuff out there just to have content, just to get the hits, and
yeah.
and Star Wars is going to generate that for years now.
I think it is. I think it was you actually saying on Twitter there was actually saying this is essentially, or it might even have been on 35mm Heroes, to be honest. It's essentially there's going to be a lot of hit whoring using just Star Wars because they know people will read it. Um, I'm kind of avoiding. I've avoided Star Wars a lot with my site for instance, because it's not a film that I treasure. It's not something I've never owned them on any format, and I probably never will. Just because I watch. I'm actually thinking about actually revisiting them, to be honest, because I've not watched them in 13, 14 years, and so maybe I'll go into them differently. Maybe going in so many years later. If you just spoke to me 7, 8 years ago about Star Wars, I'd have been a very angry person about them because I think it's one of the things. It's so treasured to people that people hold them up to a higher podium than maybe they. I don't want to say deserve, but that they should be at. Yes, they're great entertainment and everything like that. But when somebody says to me, "Oh, my favourite film is Star Wars," brilliant. But when someone says to me, "Oh, the best film ever made is Star Wars," I'm a little bit like, "Is it really?
Yeah, I mean that's
Star Wars,
the
Star Wars is better than Rashomon." I'm sorry, but it's not.
yeah. I mean the best favorite divide is. I mean, God, fuck me. That's something you could get a lot of discussion out of itself. I mean, I don't know. I tend to agree. But the thing is, I will say slightly on the defense of those who are doing these articles. If they actually genuinely care deeply about Star Wars and they want to write this stuff, then fair play. I mean, I will say if Sunshine 2 was ever announced, I'd probably create a website solely to discuss every single piece of morsel that ever came out about that. You know,
Yeah, I think it's definitely one of those things. I think it's definitely a personal sort of it's a taste thing, but I think that it seems to be nowadays with sort of social media and anything like this, you get a very definite split. I mean, for instance, there was the Hobbit thing recently as well, where they announced they were going to turn the Hobbit into three films, and the internet kind of exploded and said, "Oh, how can you do this? It's disgraceful!" And It's like fucking just what? So what? Maybe he's splitting it into three films because Peter Jackson sees three films worth of things there. Let's be honest, Peter Jackson. I'm not a big Lord of the Rings fan, but the guy's a talented filmmaker. If he sees three films worth of material there, I think you've got to kind of trust the guy that there is three films worth of material there. And I think people are far too reactionary now, and I think it's something that needs to kind of simmer down a little bit, and people need to take a sort of step back and sort of say, not be so, "Oh, you like it, well, I hate it," or "I hate this, well, I think it's great." And there's no middle ground. There's no one going, "It's all right."
no, absolutely. I mean, the Hobbit thing. I think it is kind of. I think we can trust Peter Jackson with that universe. You know, it's
Exactly. He's gone back to it because he's tried doing other stuff. He tried doing Kong, he tried doing Lovely Bones, but you just get the feeling that in the back of his mind, he was always thinking, "Do you know what? I want to make the Hobbit. I want to make Hobbit. I want to do that. I don't want to be doing this. I want to be back making that world."
mm,
And it is a little bit. It ties in a little bit with the Lucas thing that we started off on. Is Peter Jackson essentially has where George Lucas is the Star Wars guy, Peter Jackson has become the Lord of the Rings guy. And I think it's going to be very difficult for him going forward to release anything as a director, non without it within that universe, because people are always going to be referencing back to that.
yeah, no, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I don't know. That got quite a lot of stuff in quite a short amount of time. Then didn't we? Really?
Well, that's the great thing about the topics bit is we can kind of go off on a tangent with them.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But yeah. I mean, in terms of Star Wars, we'll just have to see what happens. But I mean, I will say as a final thing, yeah, I think I'm probably going to backlash against people saying I'm sick of people talking about like the Star Wars so much. Just like the tweets of people saying I'm getting sick of people talking about Star Wars. I'm going to get sick of people tweeting about how they're sick of people tweeting about Star Wars.
Do you know what the best thing to do if you are sick of people tweeting about Star Wars and everything like that? Do you know what the best thing to do is? Don't read that tweet.
Yeah, I mean, and if
It
it,
really is. When on a Saturday night when everyone's talking about X Factor, I scroll down my Twitter feed, and if someone's mentioning X Factor, I just don't read it. I just keep scrolling.
yeah,
You don't have to read every single tweet.
that's it. And you also don't have to follow people. If it's annoying you that much, you can always unfollow people. You know, there is a way.
Yeah, there definitely is.
But
Go on then. Go ahead. Just one last thing on the Star Wars thing.
yeah.
Right. Who's your dream director for it?
Oh fuck me. I haven't even. Do you know what? I haven't really even thought about it. Because the thing is, you need. It's kind of like there'll be a style bible, and they'll have to fit like with TV shows. They'll have to fit into. You could probably just get a fairly everyman journeyman director. To be honest, I mean, to be honest with you, I think Joe Johnston. He's not my dream director, but he's one I'm perfectly okay with. You know, he knows the world. He's trusted by Lucas, um, and I think but he's got enough distance from this universe where he could still tell stories that don't feel too beholden to Lucas at the same time. Um, I mean, I don't know. I mean, aside from that, like, I don't want people say like J.J. Abrams or Joss Whedon or whatever. I don't want them to be involved with this property because they wouldn't be able to do other things. Like, okay, Joss Whedon's associated with Marvel, but there's an awful lot of properties within Marvel that he can dip his toes into. That's whereas with Star Wars, it is, if he's doing this, it's going to be this for years, and I'd rather see other, especially J.J. Abrams in particular. I'd rather see other things from him.
Yeah, certainly. Yeah, definitely. And I know what you mean. There is the instant things to go to the geek heroes a little bit. I think with this, my choice would be Gaspar Noé.
That would be fine.
I think Gaspar Noé could do fucking wonders with a 200 million budget.
Yeah, that would be fine. A mixture of Star Wars, I Stand Alone, and Into the Void would be good. But with
Yes,
with like Carrie Fisher getting raped in a kind of a subway, that would be.
with Paz de la Huerta playing a new Princess Leia or some kind of new sort of young Princess Leia. I think that'd work.
She'd just constantly have her muff out as well.
She would. I'd watch the
I,
shit out of that.
I'd watch the shit out of that. And on that note, so my thanks to Mark, obviously, and we will be back next week.
Yes, we're not actually sure what film we're reviewing, so it'll be a surprise to everybody because we don't know what we're reviewing yet. We don't know the discussion topic, and we don't know the marathon director.
But
But what I will say is, come next episode 1, we will be thoroughly prepared, and it will be awesome.
absolutely. And marathon ideas to dudeandamonkey@gmail.com, along with any feedback or anything you've got already, if you do, and Twitter @dudeandamonkey.
Thank you very much, guys.
See you late next week. Bye bye.